Okay, take a quick moment and think back to your childhood. I bet there's at least one teacher who just vividly stands out in your memory, right? I want to be a teacher someday is such an incredibly common dream for so many kids, and honestly, it's no secret why. Children naturally idolize their teachers. They watch how they act, how they teach, how they speak. Youth are just deeply influenced by that pure dedication and commitment a great educator brings to the room every single day. So today, in this explainer, we're diving into a fascinating text by Princess G. Valera titled The Teaching Profession, the Teacher as a Living Idiom in Society. We're going to unpack exactly what makes this profession so uniquely impactful. So let's jump right into part one, the teacher as idol. Okay, let's dive into this, because when we think of a teacher's visible influence, we're really just looking at the tip of the teaching iceberg. The reality, it is wildly multifaceted and challenging. They aren't just standing up there at a chalkboard lecturing. They're architecting these comprehensive learning experiences. They're constantly giving assessment and feedback on performance. Crucially, they're instilling value-laden experiences that students will actually carry out the door and apply to their real lives. They are there to motivate, to praise, to push, and to inspire. And they juggle all of these really demanding tasks with one singular, beautiful hope: to transform their students to their absolute fullest potential. Moving on to section 2, beyond the four quarters. Now, this brings up a pivotal question. Does teaching encompass only the behaviors seen inside the classroom? Well, the source material answers this with a resounding categorical no. Teaching is so much more than what the eyes perceive. It dramatically breaks the physical boundaries of the classroom. The true nature of teaching extrapolates almost everywhere, extending way, way outside of any traditional learning environment. And this brings us to a rather heavy realization. Take a look at this comparison between a teacher's working life and their personal life. The text points out that for an educator, these two lives are practically tantamount. When you become a teacher, an immense amount is expected of you by society. Ethical concerns literally become the focal point of your entire stand in the community. Heavy moral obligations follow you 24/7. You don't just clock out at 3 p.m. and stop being a role model. Your personal life and your working life kind of just blend into one continuous state of moral and ethical leadership. Which leads us to section 3, the 5 teaching realities. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it asks the practical question. If teaching is this massive, all-encompassing 24/7 weight, how does one actually survive and thrive in the role? What are the actual day-to-day mechanics required? Well, it comes down to 5 concrete realities: mastery, relationship, efficiency and effectiveness, assessment and feedback, and finally, learning outcomes. These aren't just educational buzzwords. These are the non-negotiable pillars required to succeed in the classroom. Let's explore them one by one. Reality number 1 is mastery of the subject matter, and I absolutely love this quote from the text. You cannot teach what you do not have. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? It is totally integral for teachers to become completely knowledgeable and content-wise in their specific domain. This is exactly why the best educators are just relentless consumers of books, journals, educational sites, you name it. You basically have to fill your own intellectual cup before you can pour it into the minds of others. So why is that mastery so incredibly important? Because students view teaching as a way of conveying the truth. Let that sink in for a second. The knowledge a teacher feeds into the minds of their students is effectively eternal. If your students view you as the ultimate arbiter of truth in that room, your mastery of the subject isn't just about helping them pass a standardized test, it's about shaping a permanent, factual worldview. Moving seamlessly to reality 2, relationship. Because having all the mastery in the world just isn't enough if you can't connect with the people sitting right in front of you. It requires a space that is conducive, non-threatening, collegial, and fair. There's this absolute necessity for mutual respect and good rapport to establish an inspiring environment. A teacher has to show just as much respect to their students as they expect to receive in return. Without this bedrock of a friendly, encouraging relationship, even the most brilliant subject matter expertise is going to fall completely flat. Now we arrive at reality 3, and this outlines a really crucial distinction in the profession. We are defining how efficiency must lead to effectiveness. You see, it isn't enough for a teacher to simply be efficient, say, just strictly getting through a meticulously timed lesson plan. Efficiency has to go hand in hand with effectiveness to truly reach the students. You have to deliver suitable lesson strategies that actually resonate, make sense, and stick with the learner long after the class ends. And this relentless drive for effectiveness forces teachers to constantly evolve and adapt. Today, 21st century education demands differentiated instructions. Because let's face it, every single student's level of understanding and learning style is different. So teachers are forced to employ new, innovative strategies tailored to those very specific needs. The days of the one-size-fits-all lecture, they're gone. Today, teaching is a highly customized delivery system of knowledge. Which brings us to reality 4, assessment and feedback. And this brilliantly illustrates how a proper assessment acts like a magnifying glass. It reveals 3 crucial things: strengths, potentials, and weaknesses. You see, assessment is not about punishing a student for getting an answer wrong. Feedback is how students make sense of the world. By carefully assessing them, teachers help students discover what they're genuinely good at, what their untapped potential might be, and realistically, where they need to improve. The teacher's ultimate role here is to communicate this feedback constructively, helping the student more than anyone else could.
All right, bringing it all together in Section 4, the ultimate endpoint.
We've talked about the immense societal pressure, the required mastery, the careful relationship building, the innovative lesson strategies, and the vital assessments. But it all converges on one undeniable truth. The endpoint of teaching is learning. This is reality 5, the learning outcomes. The primary directive of all these painstaking efforts, all those late nights of lesson planning and grading, is to achieve positive and favorable learning experiences. It's the intended purpose from the very start. All the activities, all the differentiated instructions, all the detailed feedback, it's all marshaled together to address the interests of the students and help them achieve those desired learning outcomes. Which brings us to our conclusion, and a question derived straight from the text that really lingers long after the school bell rings. Are you ready to transform a life for their own betterment? This is the ultimate, foundational purpose of a teacher. It's not just a job. It is a profound, life-altering responsibility. It's a commitment to being a living idiom in society, a role model whose positive impact echoes for generations. Thank you for joining me for this explainer on the teaching profession. Take a moment today to think about the teachers who transformed your life and ask yourself how you can carry that exact same transformative, dedicated energy into whatever it is you do.